The Black Clover community has been in a mad rush to figure out what's really going on amidst the chaos that is Yuno versus Xenon. There is so much to unpack with each panel, but one thing has been a constant source of interest and confusion: the fourth Zogratis. A few weeks ago, I made an emergency video when the chapter leaks dropped telling you guys that I believe the fourth Zogratis was the outward manifestation of Xenon's inner darkness, fueled by Beelzebub to give it a more tangible form. I am not straying from this idea, as I do believe it to be a strong possibility. I do have one more theory regarding this mystery Zogratis. Before I get into who it could be, I would like to add that I do feel with the evidence from the occult knowledge of Carlson, Agrippa, and Evola used in that video that Xenon and Beelzebub could have a relationship much like Yuno and his spirit, where they are one but also separate. Depending on the order in which I decide to drop these videos, you should know that spanning across different philosophies, the human has as little as 2 souls and up to 5. But the goal is to be united into one perfect being, whether that be ascending the light tree or descending the dark tree. However, that would be unification and duality. Now to the juicy part. In last week's chapter, the fourth Zogratis says something interesting. He tells Xenon and anyone watching this video to like and subscribe because we finally hit 1,000 subs and I'm super thankful. But of course, don't subscribe or continue watching if you don't like it. A little weird that I have to say that at all, but not everyone understands that concept, and I do still have the goal of hitting 3.5k subs by the end of next month, so if you'd like to join the squad and help me out with that goal, that would be extra cool of you. But enough trolling, let's get back to the theory. The fourth is sitting in front of Dante and Vonica and is coaxing Xenon into killing the weak so that they may be reborn into undying bodies. If you guys haven't already seen Wizard King Minato's Star Sapphire video, I highly recommend that you go watch it, because I'll be talking about something that he found regarding the Arma Christi and Yuno. Within the scope of things that were used in the Arma Christi, one of them is the Holy Grail, which I have touched on in a video called Yuno and Lucifer, the Atlanteans and the Holy Grail, so it might be a good idea to watch that as well. But the sun and moon are also mentioned on this topic of the Arma Christi. The sun and moon represent the eclipse that happened during the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. As we already know, Lois and Ciel were mages of sun and moon respectively, and together produced a star mage. A good amount of this channel has been built over the philosophies of the Orders of the Golden Dawn, Rosy Cross, and Silver Star. The highest point of ascension lies in one becoming the Ipsissimus, otherwise known as the Silver Star. This adept rises above all the rest in a state of godlyhood. We already know of 2 stars in religious and occult history: the evening and morning stars. The most infamous being the morning star, as it is most commonly attributed to Lucifer, but not widely known that this is also used to address his brother Jesus Christ. It's interesting to find that in more philosophies than you think, Lucifer is the one who rules the world. This goes hand in hand with the concept of the halls of Amenti, which all of physical creation is not only an illusion, but was made by the hands of demons. But what's even more interesting is that the holy and unholy trinities are not actually triads, but instead a tetrad, but not in the way you would think. A true tetrad would only have 4 points of focus, but in the philosophies of these orders and in the Judeo-Christian scope of things, a tetrad includes a 5th, which is the point in which all of the other 4 find their home, and thus creating the highest being. If you've been watching my videos, this is not the first time you've seen this picture here. This is from the Order of the Silver Star. As you can see, the Silver Star is at the very top, being supported by 4 other modes of existence. But even further, what do you see above and below the Silver Star? The sun and the moon. What does this have to do with the mystery Zogratis, though? Well, here we go. The fourth Zogratis made it a point to say that they would be rebirthed into undying bodies. What would be an undying body? I made a post on Twitter showing that Cornelius Agrippa speaks of the bodies of angels and demons. Angels having a more fiery and formless body of light, while demons have bodies more solid and earthly but cloaked in shadow. He then goes on to further specify the bodies of sublime demons. These demons have bodies that are a delicate combination of all elements, giving them an ethereal body. He says this about ethereal demons as well as aerial demons. As we know, we can attribute Aether to Lucifer Morningstar, and Aether is also likened to wind. So does this undying body incorporate all of these elements in one? Now we come to look at Yuno, the poster boy for success in all its forms. Has an Aether-like wind magic that we can and have traced back to Lucifer, now has a star magic which can easily be traced to Lucifer, being the morning star and later the evening star, who seems to have spells that directly points to the Armor Christi, as Wizard King Minato pointed out in his video. We have his magic stone. This was the piece of the stone tablet that linked to the realm of Dot, which is the void that was created in the Tree of Life upon Lucifer's fall, and where the Tree of Death was born. I think it's important to understand where I personally have placed the Triad and Morris clipotically to understand why I'm arriving at Yuno not only being Lucifer, but also the last Zogratis. Referring to this picture, at the bottom would be Tigirian, where Belphegor and or his twin Kiowa rule, which of whom I have Dante possessing. In the upper right side, we have Beelzebub confirmed with Xenon. In the upper left, across from Beelzebub, we would have Lucifero, whom I have Morris possessing, and in the middle, Magicula. I won't go too far into depth with this, but Magicula could go by many names that would put her right here, but this is the literal womb of the Clipbot. I think it's important to note that the mother of the Clipbot, under her many names, but who I have been referring to as Iset, is a crone goddess of the moon, while her original consort as the Shekinah was God himself, which has otherwise been likened to the sun. Between the two again, we have sun and moon to create a star to rule them all. This is the Thaumael, Lucifer and Moloch, who I attribute to Yuno. I don't think it is an accident that Yuno and Xenon are so similar in a lot of ways. Tabata is trying to show us something without directly telling us, and maybe you guys were all right in the very beginning. Maybe Yuno is the brother of Xenon and the rest, but it's no longer as direct as it would have been. I've pointed this out before, but it is not uncommon for a writer to depict a character possessed by Lucifer to be or become sickly. One of my favorite shows, Supernatural, has an entire arc almost solely dedicated to Lucifer finding his perfect vessel. Should he use an imperfect vessel, the vessel starts to deteriorate and eventually dies. This may be the reason why we see the eldest brother in the state that he's in. His talent for devil possession was high, but his body was not the right fit. The Zogratis family in the anime seemed to have been lying in wait. It was alluded to that they were terrifyingly strong for a while, but why didn't they strike sooner? To me, it seems they were waiting on the birth of the Star Child, or rather the second coming of their brother, to strike and be led to victory by who would be the new Messiah in twisted form, and this whole advent would have been for Yuno and the descent of Lucifer. So what reason would Xenon have to block out the face of the brother that provided him a way out? Xenon has had a deep-seated mentality over what being an exemplary mage should be since he was a child. Even more pride in his own kingdom. To me, I think the best explanation for this is the simple fact that he knew on a deep psychological level that his brother was evil and didn't want his plan to be successful. So Xenon let baby Yuno get away, expecting him to die by the hands of his underlings or by the harsh conditions of the strong magic reader. Xenon's ultimate motives are still somewhat a mystery, being that he says he wants to protect his kingdom and the people in it, but he's participating in the exact opposite. The reason behind it can go as deep as Beelzebub. Remember, in lore, Beelzebub is a loyalist to Lucifer and is known to mess with the minds of the adepts that journey to him. What if, before the descent of Lucifer via Yuno has to be on the brink of death like he is now, just like Vonica had to be close to death for Magicula to come through, and needed his second grimoire to reflect the three-part nature of Lucifer. Since the video is dropping before the video talking about souls and Black Clover, I think for now it's important to understand that Lilith reflected her dark lover Lucifer in the way that there were three aspects of her who were as dependent as they were independent of each other, and why we see Lucifer in Dante's Inferno with three faces. I would also like to point out that Xenon does specify that they are on a schedule when he comes to collect Dante and Yami. Could this signify that they are nearing Yuno's possible actual birth date, which would then in turn possibly be an eclipse? And during this eclipse, we get a much more Berserk-like reference to an Advent, where Yuno is reborn into the undying body of the fourth Zogratis that is also Lucifer. To top things off, let's backtrack a little bit. When we first meet the Triad, when they're sitting at the table, Dante asks Xenon if he is used to the powers of his devil. This is now almost ironic, coming from Dante, who was the first to be downed, while Xeno is now as acclimated to a devil as one can be. So what was the point of him asking this? I would like to propose this. What if Xenon had a change of heart in the middle of this whole thing, and could have even started at the night of the invasion? They need every single person on board with their devil. If one leaves the mission, the whole thing fails. So this is where Beelzebub would come into play. If Xeno was trying to prevent this from coming to fruition by letting baby Yuno / the fourth Zogratis die, then is it possible that Beelzebub blurred out the face of the fourth in Xenon's mind so that Xenon would not outright recognize him and try to kill him before he ascends? Who knows? I'll be the first to admit there are a lot of holes in this theory, but it would make for a very interesting dynamic that even resembles Berserk. A lot of shonen series have characters that get stronger for the sole purpose of protecting everyone else. Look at Naruto and Sasuke. They achieve that goal and can successfully protect their people from astronomical threats, but what happens when they're gone? I'm going to leave you guys with a simple question that I would love for you guys to answer in the comment section below to let me know that you made it to the end. They say you can give a man a fish and you fed him for the day, but teach him to fish and you fed him for a lifetime. So tell me what the better plan is. Save a world full of the defenseless, or teach the world to defend themselves. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you again for 1,000 subscribers. This has been Jack Oates the Goat. You either know, or you don't.
I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Pull up, say what's the deal, bruh? See how I lose my cool any second if they don't hear us. Many people will fear us. Say when you look in the mirror, don't you compare us to anything, they get embarrassed. Ha, ha, woo. So many people be talking like they want the problems or something. I noticed that all of you polish and all of you people get punished. It's hard to keep food on your stomach, to all of the hustle keep running. That's hard to stay humble with nothing. We're off of the jungle, we're bugging. So let me come down all of a sudden. I told you that we keep it buzzing. Ha, woo. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed